What's up, meatbags? This is the often imitated, never duplicated Tony TGD. I'm doing a little response video here to Dark Titan Enterprises' Vara Dark. Now, Vara's video here is about the medium being banned in Australia and delayed worldwide. She's wondering, will it end up in censorship like DayZ? Well, first off, Vera's working on some very, very bad information. She's using an article by Kotaku Australia, which was written 4 days prior to her video. So that this was written on, if we go to the article itself here, see it was written on November 3rd. Vera's video was made on November 7th, as you can see on the screen. Now, in the article, which she reads, it says that the medium, this new Xbox Series X exclusive, is being refused classification. They don't know why. They just go over what it means, what it could possibly mean. And Vera, she gives her thoughts on this. Now, Vera, she's not a journalist. She's a commentator. She takes articles and gives her thoughts on it. But, if you're going to do something like that, I feel at least you should do a little research. You should go beyond just grabbing the first article you find and, maybe look into things a bit, especially when you're commentating days after the event happened, because there's a lot of things that might have changed between the publication of this Kotaku Australia article and the time of her publishing her video. And in fact, in this very case, things have changed. Now, if we go over to PC Gamer, they have an article from November 4th, and talks about basically the same stuff: refused classification in Australia for the medium, what it might mean, blah blah blah. But if you go down into the article, you can see that there's an update. You see, the Australian Classification Board has made a statement regarding the medium's banning in Australia. Basically, the statement says that in July, on July 6th specifically, the International Age Rating Coalition, the tool, which is their automated system, it's not a manual system. The medium sent in their stuff, filled out the little boxes, did what they had to do, and in July they were refused classification. Now, come November, they still haven't went in for a manual review. They haven't submitted a new copy of the game for classification. So as of the time of the article, the medium has not been classified in Australia, not because it was banned and not because Australia is being a hard ass, but rather because Bloober Team has not tried for a classification, which makes sense when you figure out that in a couple of days after this article was written, that the game is being delayed. Now, Bloober Team says that they want to make the game a lot better. There's, COVID concerns. There's concerns about people having access to it upon release because of, you know, everything going on in the world. So the game's being delayed until January. So it makes sense that Bloober Team hasn't submitted for reclassification in Australia if they knew ahead of time that there was a good chance that it wasn't going to make that December 10th release date. But going back to the original video that we're discussing here, none of this is mentioned by Vara Dark. None of this is hinted upon or even discussed or even looked at, because she simply focuses on this one article from Kotaku Australia, which, as we said, is not only outdated now, but outdated at the time of her making her video. She then goes on to discuss how DayZ was refused classification in Australia due to drug use. In the game, you were able to spark up a joint, and that would refill your health. Now, that was refused classification in Australia. It did pass the other ratings boards worldwide, and the game was allowed to be that way worldwide. However, upon being refused classification in Australia, the Bohemian team, the guys behind DayZ, they chose to change the game worldwide. And now Vera is trying to say that this is what companies do when they're lazy, that they censor the game worldwide just to appease one ratings board, in this case Australian rating board. And she's worried that the medium might do the same thing, except for the fact that these are two completely different situations. If you know anything about the DayZ situation, you'll know that it is a multiplayer online video game. And the people behind it, Bohemian Team, said that they did not want to segment their audience. You know, the game is cross-play. The game is not region locked. You can play with people from all over the world. Now, if they didn't change all the versions of the game, if they only changed the Australian version, that would mean that the Australian players would be um, segregated from the rest of the world, that people in Australia would only be able to play with people in Australia due to this drug use. Not wanting to do that to their players, they chose the lesser of two evils in their mind and removed that feature from all the versions of the game. Is it censorship? Yes. Is it due to the Australian Classification Board? Yes. Is it applicable to the medium situation? No. You see, because the medium is a single player game, it's a single player horror game, and if the Australian Ratings Board has dinged them for some reason, they can simply use the time to make a version that applies to Australia and a version that applies worldwide. Seeing as there is going to be no cross-play, there's going to be no multiplayer, it's not going to affect anyone else's version of the game if there is an Australian version missing some feature or some censorship. This is what companies do all the time, especially when they have to deal with Chinese censorship. You know, they will remove features, they'll change features slightly. And this is not a new thing. This is something that's done. However, Vara is sort of fear-mongering. She's not really understanding the situations, or she's blatantly trying to apply a situation that does not apply to the medium to it in order to get some clicks. I'm not saying that's what she's doing. I'm just saying that this is a possibility, because there's no way you can look at the two situations and really think that they are identical or even closely related. And really, that's all I got to say about this situation. Like I said, the medium, it was not banned in Australia. It was refused classification back in July. They have yet to apply for a new classification. There's no indication that they will be censored worldwide if they have to change things just for the Australian version. And there's no indication that the game was even going to change anything for a worldwide release, even though they're being delayed, because by statements from them and actions that they have taken previous, it is very clear that they were not going to hit that December 10th release date, and they're going to push it back to January to polish up the game. And that's really all I got to say. You know what we say at this channel: love, peace, booty grease, and we out this bitch.